Welcome everybody to Lake Superior Interfaith Community Church. And I want to say thank you to Richie for being here for our speaker today. So looking forward to your talk. And so I would like to give my little prayer. I'd like to say that I give thanks to Mother, Father, God for bringing us all together as we support each other in the knowing we are directed and supported through the love and power of God. And then the statement of intent, I'll read. We are fortunate to have a variety of speakers for Sunday services, and by using guest speakers, we gain wisdom from all those who share. This is a church where we can worship the God of our own understanding, a place to experience joy and be uplifted, a place where we can gain strength and inspiration to share with all we meet throughout the week. We invite you to join us in the celebration of life, to nourish your spirit and enjoy the company of kindred souls. Are there any announcements anybody would like to say anything at this point?
Yes, I would, Laura Whitney, just asking for continued prayer for sparing my healthy cells and targeting the cancer cells. And thank you. And I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so glad you're here, Laura. Thank you. Anybody else? Anything? I don't see any hands going up. Okay, well, then I would just like to ask, well, of course, a prayer request. We'll just continue for you, for Laura, for, prayer for you and just all of us. And so the principles, what did I do with them? Here they are, like the principles. The famous card, you guys. We believe in infinite intelligence, and we believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. And we affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. And we affirm that the existence and identity of the individual continue after the change called death. And we believe in our universal connection in spirit, and that there is communication between the spiritual and physical worlds. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the golden rule. Whatsoever you would that others do unto you, do we also unto them. We affirm the moral responsibility of individuals, and that we make our own happiness or unhappiness as we obey or disobey nature's physical and spiritual laws. And we affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any human soul here or hereafter. And we affirm that the precepts of prophecy and healing are divine attributes contained in all sacred texts. Okay, so with that, I would like to invite Richie to give his talk, and we will enjoy it. But please unmute yourself, Richie. You are muted. Okay.
Hello.
Hey, there we are.
Hi.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to mute myself here. So.
Okay. Well, before I get started here, I'll just invite you to do the breathing that we do before our men's groups, and what we talk to it's for the domestic abuse intervention programs where I work, and we always do a breathing exercise, grounding and breathing before we get started. And we've been using Dr. Andrew Weil's 4-7-8 breathing method. It's a very simple thing. If the guys can't remember that, we have them we call it take 5. You breathe in for the count of 5, hold it for the count of 5, and breathe out for 5, and do that 5 times. In Andrew Weil's method of breathing, you breathe in for the count of 4, and that can be either following your heartbeat, because you'll notice it changes as you breathe, or just counting something like 1,000. And we breathe in for the count of 4 and hold it for 7, and really push out the exhale for 8. And it's a good cleansing breath. And on our own, we'll do 3 cycles of that will be enough. And it's to kind of reboot and to ground and to be fully present and get some oxygen to our brain cells in case we've been breathing shallow this morning. So we'll go on our own. And as you continue with a few nice deep cycles of breath without counting, just relaxed deep cycles of breath, I invite you to just feel with each breath the universe, the love of the universe, the creative universe washing over you. And from the top of your head all the way down through your fingertips, through the bottoms of your feet, just washing you in peace, love, creativity of the universe. And you can breathe that in. And as you breathe out, any tension or stress of the day, of the week, we wash that out through the bottoms of our feet. And then I'll encourage you to take that spirit of breathing in all that goodness and creativity outdoors with you after our gathering today, and hear the birds. They'll be telling you the same thing. Okay, and then I'll invite you back into the space. And any of you who have heard me talk before know that you have to just kind of follow along with my stream of consciousness. Eventually I get to the point. I was aware this morning, because I heard it on the news, that it's Palm Sunday for the Christian traditions. It's the beginning of Holy Week. And when I worked at Gloria Dei Church, we nicknamed it Unholy Week because we had to do so many services that week. And I always remember, but we did enjoy it. But I remember Sister Kathy McLaughlin saying about that picture of the Last Supper. Everybody get on one side of the table. We're going to get our picture taken. And I always loved that one. She had a love of her tradition, but also just a healthy irreverence. And she was very fun. And she's one of my mentors, and she is who taught me about what I'm going to talk about today, about creation spirituality, about cosmic spirituality, and these things, this journey that I've been going on recently, all ties together, where I have been, because of this year that all of us have gone through together. It's just a crazy year that has just ungrounded everyone. And we're not even sure what going back to normal means anymore, because we're pretty sure we're not going back to the way things were. And so we're trying to get excited about what the future holds. And excuse me. What I've been thinking about, because I went through right at the end of 2019, and just before this pandemic hit, I went through some times that traumatized me pretty badly and left me really shaken for many months. And I talked about that last time. That, and I think the last time I gathered with y'all, I was starting to feel like I was resurfacing and starting to feel a little inkling of peace or joy again. Things were pretty tough for a while, and I know I'm not alone in having gone through experiences like that completely unground you. And there's a moment in time where you are floating and kind of don't know if you'll ever feel at peace again. You can even doubt that, and that can be pretty difficult to go through. And recently I've been really feeling pretty good and starting to realize life is good. And I've told you that the two dogs that we inherited saved my life. They kept me walking when I wouldn't have gone out walking. They make me go outside. And Tammy is with them right now. She took them to the park because otherwise they'd be sitting right here staring at me, panting and wanting me to take them to the park. So she's out with them. And one of the things that I've been doing to try to really get back to feeling how I know a person can feel, because I've had so many moments of really deep peace and connectedness and joy and just, just feeling so happy about life. And I know that that's out there. I know that I will feel that again. And what I found myself doing this week was I was thinking about those times, where somebody will say, when you're depressed or when you're stressed out, think about your happy place or think about a time. And I've been thinking back on times, and my happy place I remember was when we were in school, and it would be the last day of school, and we would walk out the door on the last day of school and breathe that breath of fresh air, summer air. I can still smell it when I close my eyes. Picture walking outside and putting my arms out. 3 months of vacation, because back then it was 3 months of playtime and summer. And I can still feel that and smile about it and recall that. And I was thinking, well, there had to have been other times. And somehow I landed on this moment when I had taken a trip to Florida. And the first time I'd ever gone to Florida to see my friend Dave there, and my high school friend who lives there. And we were on a beach near Destin, Florida, and there was a parking lot nearby, and we were all just walking along the beach. And all of a sudden, and this is kind of a tough moment, but I saw this woman who, and this was at right about 30 years ago, maybe 32, something like that. And so as I'm thinking back, I'm realizing she was my age that I am now. She was this older woman, and but she was a grandmother, and she was with her grandchild, and she had just lost her temper. And this little girl, she had thrown her into the backseat of the car, and she was hitting her and just screaming at her. And I somehow saw this and told my friends I was with, I said, "I'll be right back. I'll catch you, or I'll catch up with you. Keep walking." And they didn't even see this happening. And I went over and I talked to this woman. I said, "Oh, you have to stop." And I, to this day, thinking back on it now, I don't remember exactly what I said to her, but was able to calm her down and hear her story and how this child had been abandoned by this woman's daughter, and the woman had this grandmother had to take care of the daughter, and was just at her wit's end with it. And the little girl had lost her shoes on the beach. She said, "I told her over and over again, don't lose your shoes." And she lost her shoes anyways, and it was like the last straw, and she just lost her temper. And with the kid still in sight, we just walked on the beach a little bit, and we talked for quite a while. And then, I gave her a hug, and we walked over and saw the kid, and she hugged her kid and her granddaughter who she was having to raise. And we just hung out for a little bit, and I don't even know how much time lapsed, but then I caught up, she really calmed down. And I caught up with my friends, and they said, they saw me walking along, and my friend Dave said, "Now who's he talking to?" And Tammy said, "Who knows?" And because it's just the kind of thing I would do. And I was thinking back, and I thought, who was that guy who had the presence of mind to stop and somehow found the words to talk to this woman and find some peace and not be judgmental. And I even think for her, it was probably the first time somebody had taken interest in her situation and had compassion instead of judgment, and really cared about what was going on, even with her, not just with the little girl. And and over the years, so many things have happened to, in my life, and it happens to all of us, the grief and loss, the things we go through. And, and it can kind of shred you and you can kind of forget who you were at those better moments in life. And I know we can't go back and undo the things that have happened. And what I'm looking for is finding the way to go forward with what I've learned from these things, and also try to tap into the core of who that 30-year-old, who to me looks like a kid now. I mean, my body will never be in that kind of shape. I'm really achy these days. And, but I'm trying to remember, who was that person that was able to do that and not be afraid, and who would just take interest in another human being. And, and so as I'm thinking back on these things, I'm thinking back on these moments in my life, and how do you go back and how do you go forward? What I always come back to is this sense of connectedness that I've had. All of the best times in my life, I can remember what it smelled like outside. And it's weird, but I can remember the salt air on that beach. I can remember walking along the shoreline on the old abandoned railroad tracks out by Morgan Park. And I can even when we were searching for a downed airplane, when we lost my sister, I can remember what the woods smelled like out in Wisconsin and how beautiful that was and how that kind of carried us through a difficult time. So all the most profound moments in my life have this sense of connectedness with nature. And then when Sister Kathy, who said that about the Last Supper picture, when she taught us the course in creation-centered spirituality, I learned about connecting with our place in the universe story that I keep coming back to when I talk to you. And I've talked to you about the cosmic walk, where we walk a spiral, or we light candles in a spiral, about 30 candles, and we tell the story from the Big Bang, or the flaring forth of the universe, all the way up to where we are now, where now humans are determining where we end up, and how things are going to unfold. We're even changing the world geologically. And anytime I'm really at a loss and really starting to feel like I don't know if I'm ever going to find my way back, if I'm able to remember that we are part of this 13.7 or 8 billion year cosmic unfolding, and see the awesomeness of that, and see, there's this combination of feeling like we are royalty because the universe went through an awful lot to get us here. And then there's this other little part where we realize that we are a grain of dust and we are a blip on the screen of cosmic history. And you combine those things, it's humbling, and it's also really empowering to think of our what the universe went through to get us here. I mean, the incredible creativity. And it happened at a really dark time during the last several months, and where I was walking the dogs because they made me, and it was nighttime and they wanted to go to the park. And I thought, fine, let's go to the park. And I went down to, we're near Observation Dog Park. And it's on West 3rd Street. And it's kind of where the hill peaks before going back down to and ending up at Mesaba Avenue. And it was dark out and we're walking around the dog park. And the clouds are moving by kind of fast. It was kind of a weird night. It was windy out, kind of cold. I thought, oh, you dogs. And I looked up, and there were stars peeking out through the openings in these clouds. And I stood there, and the stars were still and the clouds were moving and the dogs were just about invisible in the dark. And I just, I felt it again. I thought, thank you, dogs. And I felt that connection. And I thought, oh, I have to remember to look up at the stars, look up at the sky. Look around you, breathe deeply. And I breathed, and it was freezing out, and I still breathed. And another night, they made me do that another night. And right as we got there, this huge orange moon was rising up over Lake Superior. So if not for these dogs that kind of adopted us suddenly, there's a lot of connection I wouldn't have had. So so these critters, I thank them for that. So one of the I had when I talked to Carol, I said the title of my talk will be Falling into the Cosmos. So what does that have to do with anything? And I'd like to leave you with an exercise that that you can do on your own. And it's one that I got from oh, here it is. I don't know. It's called The Hidden Heart of the Cosmos by Brian Swim. And it's interesting that some of the insights of science that are in this book have changed somewhat, just the numbers of years. But you know, what is 14 billion versus 15 billion when you're living in the 21st century in Duluth, Minnesota? And you know, those numbers change, but what it means to us doesn't. But there's this exercise in here, and he calls it looking down at the galaxy. And I had forgotten that until I opened it this morning and looked at it. But the idea is that you think of, I'm at the dog park and I'm looking up at the stars. And there's an exercise that you can do when you're out in the dark. And this is adaptable to lying on your back and looking at the clouds during the daytime too. And then also, if you see the moon out during the day, if you ever get a chance to look at the moon through binoculars during the day, there's something about looking at it in the daytime through binoculars that you can see the sphere of it. It looks much more three-dimensional during the day. It's very odd, where at night it's a bright disk. But this exercise that Brian Swim teaches, it's kind of a perspective shifting thing. And what you would do, and if you can picture this, and if you want, you can close your eyes and try to picture it, or you can just kind of hear the basic instructions and then try this sometime. What you will do is lie down on a blanket or in a lawn chair, and if you're like so many of us, where lying down on a blanket means that you won't be able to get up again, you get somebody to go with you and help you. And there's different ways you can do this. Or if you're visually impaired, you can do it looking in that direction and kind of visualizing this. So if you can picture lying on a blanket and you're looking up at the stars, and you think probably I think it's about 8 light years is the nearest star. And it's, what is it? A light year is just under 6 trillion miles. So you imagine that. And the closest star is about 8 to 10 light years away. And then you imagine kind of deeper into the sky, and you're lying there and you're staring at the stars, and you're seeing the 3D effect of how far away some stars are and how some of them are relatively closer. And if there's even one planet out there, how that is so incredibly much closer to us. And you're lying on your back and you're looking up. And what this exercise invites us to do is to feel ourselves, instead of lying on top of this ball that is the earth, we're lying on the bottom of it and we're looking down at the stars. And you can feel yourself, if you put your arms even out to your sides, you can feel the earth holding on to you like a bunch of little fingers or strings or something. And it's holding you in its loving embrace and clinging you to the earth so you don't fall off. And you imagine looking down at the Milky Way. And you imagine that if that gravity were all of a sudden to say, I'm going to let go of you for just a moment, you would fall down into the stars, into the cosmos. And if you imagine yourself just kind of falling into the cosmos and into those trillions of miles away stars and having them be all around you and the earth pretty much out of sight from us. And that's where we live. We live in those stars. We live amongst the stars. We are birthed of the same stardust in a 13.7 billion year cosmic history. And that is one exercise we can do, and we can do it in the daytime. You look up at the clouds and you imagine if the earth were to let go of you for a moment, you would fall into the clouds. You would fall down into the clouds. You fall down into the stars. And it's a shift in perspective that helps us see, kind of actually experience bodily our place in the universe. So that will be, it's an invitation for some homework if you want to do that. And so that you can come back now to Earth and welcome you home. And that and other things of meditating on the cosmic story are ways that, and they just sound, they sound philosophical, where sometimes philosophy or religion or something doesn't necessarily help you come to a peaceful place when you're experiencing difficulty. But feeling a sense of that cosmic time and that, our residence in the cosmos can actually kind of shift your perspective. It's it's another way of saying this too shall pass, and all things shall pass, and things will be better again, because all things come back to creativity. We return to the oneness. And so that has been that, and the last day of school, going into summer vacation, and some of the other experiences I've had are the things that bring me back to that, to my own center. And so I invite you, to explore that as a way to find your way back to center. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Richie. So much puts life in a different perspective of peace. And all is well. Anyway, thank you. I would like to say thank you to all for your donations to the church. And of course, you can continue to send it to the church at 1414 East 9th Street, 55805. And I will take care of it and get it in the bank. And now I would like to, if you'd like to unmute, it's up to you, but I would like to state the church affirmation. We totally accept the belief that God is in charge of the affairs and direction of Lake Superior Interfaith Community Church. And we know that as our thoughts of trust and joyful anticipation join in harmony with the thoughts of all the members of this fellowship, we attract the right ministerial leadership to our spiritual community, and we are grateful. Yeah, so then we do like a benediction or whatever. Did you want to do anything to close, Richie? Or else I can say something. I forgot to ask you, but you're muted right now, but otherwise.
If you could do it.
Can we just appreciate what Richie has shared with us? I mean, is there room for that?
Yes, whatever you
And
like.
if anybody, this kind of thing, if anybody has like a question or reflection, I always really appreciate that.
Okay.
Your church is the first time I've ever stood in front and people asked questions or said something in return. And I was stunned by that after growing up Catholic and working in the Lutheran church, that the congregation talked. So thank you.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
I just want to say, Richie. This is Laura Whitney. I see you out and about sometimes. That I've appreciated your drumming near and far, and that you have this cosmic perspective is very cool. And I appreciate that. I have kind of come through well, let's see, the feeling of being hopeful, of just knowing that I'm just a creature like any other creature that is supported by this earth, and in truth we all are, which is very nice because then that earth is solidly under us. But I like the idea of being held as we view from a different perspective. So I just thank you. Thank you. And thanks for your gentle and loving spirit, which really is quite beautiful. Thank you.
Oh,
Hey,
Thank you so much.
yes, I had an experience last fall when I was going through something in my life, and I was praying, and all of a sudden I left my body here. I saw myself leave the earth, go out into the universe. And when I was out there, I saw 8 stars. And I went into the center of the 8 stars. And words can't even come close to the spiritual feelings I felt inside the 8 stars. It was like being in the center of light and love and peace and joy and everything, not just of the star, of the universe. So we're part of the universe. We've always been part of the universe. But I got to feel it inside the 8 stars, and words can't even come close to the love and light and everything there.
okay.
But thank you for reminding me of that experience, and that we get those experiences too, because
Okay.
we're part of the universe. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Wow.
I'm gonna take my
Anybody else?
blanket and find a dark space. Too many lights around here.
Hmm. Yeah.
I want to echo Laura. Thank you for your gentle, calm, loving presence.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'd like to share a little bit. Was part of a book group with the Unity Church of Minneapolis for the past 4 weeks. And we talked about, again, reaffirming that God is within us. And I like that thought, but for me, the feeling of I am in God, or not just God in us, but we are part of God in a fuller sense. And your little, what you did today was to give us or give me a feeling anyway, of the fact that we are in God, and God is this expansive universe that we are in. He's not, or I mean, I hate even to say he or God, because I don't believe in God as a being, but as more of a spirit or a universal energy. Not only is in us, but we are in it also. And so that what you had us go through just now reinforced that feeling and that expansiveness that it gives me when I think in that term.
Matthew Fox would call that panentheism. It's like pantheism with another syllable, panentheism. We are in God and God is in us. And yeah, and we experience the divine when we connect with our senses. Yeah, it's cool. Thank you.
So I want to add another thing, and that's this, that you've invited us to go outside at night when it's a totally different energy. It's so much quieter. And so thank you for that nighttime invitation. Thank you.
Thank you. And do it safely and wisely. Yeah. but it is a real thing. Yeah.
Don't lie in the middle of an intersection.
Okay, thank you.
What's the book again?
The one I had,
Yeah.
this is, I don't know if this is even available anymore. It's Brian Swim's The Hidden Heart of the Cosmos. And if you find anything by Thomas Berry or Brian Swim, and there's others that are eluding me right now. Mary Evelyn Tucker. There's several writers that are writing from, they call it the new cosmology, and it's taking the scientific knowledge of the universe, and I'm seeing the sacredness in that and connecting with that. Because it's kind of like Mary Oliver's poem, what is it you plan to do with this one wild, what is it? I had actually written it down. What is the quote from Mary Oliver? This one wild and precious life. What is it you're going to do with this one wild and precious life?
I think I've heard
And the universe invites us to think about that when we think of, when the universe created for 13.7 billion years, and on a sunny day we want to go to the mall. No, we don't. We don't get to do that. The universe wants to go outside and play. So.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I just wanted to add that today is, in fact, practically right now, or soon, early afternoon, the full moon in Libra peaks. And this full moon in Libra is a very powerful, special full moon. And of course, Libra has to do with, love and getting together and just sharing and all of those type of things. And it seems, I did get up early this morning and looked out at the moon. And I took a photograph of it with my iPad, and it somehow turned out, it was spectacular, with just dark trees around it. And, but it's interesting that your talk, with all of its cosmic connections too, was today, right now, at this full moon.
That is cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to look at when the clouds are there and then the moon, and you think of the differences in distance, and then the moon versus the stars, and then that we're all one. It kind of blows your mind in a cool way.
I have to say that so often I think of the daytime as the time I can warm up in the sun. But last night I was awake and saw that moon too. And it was just sending diamonds all over our river that we looked out. And I think how much we miss by putting all our activity in the daytime. And to all of you, it's nice to see you.
Oh.
So nice to see you. Haven't seen you for a very long time, Janet.
I'm getting old like you, Rich.
All right. Yeah.
That happens to old people.
Yeah, that happens to the best. Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what happens when I open to the sunlight. It's I turn into I just glow. That's the curtain next to me. I had to shut it for a little while. When we're done here, I'm going to open it up and warm up the house with it. Thank you all so much for that.
Thank you for being here. So I have this for the benediction, the prayer of protection, which is through unity there. It's wonderful. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God unfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And thank you, God. Thank you.
And all is well.
Yeah, so I want to thank everybody for being here. What a
Thank
wonderful morning. Thank you, Richie, so much.
Thank
Like
you.
to- Yeah, I would like to invite the board members to stay after for a few minutes if you want to chat. Let me know. So otherwise, we'll, unless there's any other comments, we'll just,
Carol, can I say something here?
yes, please.
I passed on a link to that photo montage into the woods and the waterways of Lake Superior, the river, with the music of Steve Keither.
Mm.
It's also on my Facebook page if anybody is interested. I had talked a little bit about it a few weeks ago, but it's to the music of Steve Keither. It's the photo montage, the woods and the waterways of the St. Louis River estuary system. So it's a 13-minute long photo montage.
Where do you get that?
Thank you for that.
Beautiful.
It's on my Facebook site right now,
Okay.
and it's also on my Smug Mug site.
All right.
Is
Whatever
it
that.
something, is it something Carol could pass to us or you could pass to us? I don't do social media.
I mean,
Okay, Carol, that would
I
be
have it. I have it on my email. He sent it to me. I can forward it on. If you guys like,
Yes, yes, good idea.
I will just send it out to everybody. Would
Oh,
you
good
like-
idea.
Great, thank you
I
both.
mean, it's so, I listened to it this morning and oh my goodness. Michael, it's so beautiful. The music and the scenes, and this is our area and where we live and the gratitude for where we live. It's like, you guys, you got to see it. I'll send it out to everybody. So on the Zoom list. So
thank you.
you bet. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. What a beautiful morning. And now we get to enjoy the sunshine. And tomorrow,
Okay.
60 degrees, 50 or 60 degrees tomorrow. Really?
Mhm.
Wow.
Amen. So, okay.
Have a lovely week.
All right. Thank you. Peace, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
See you,
all.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.